Your name's on a $700,000 mortgage, Miss Harper. Care to explain why you're 4 months behind? The call hit me like a brick through a window. I was 32, a medical receptionist at a bustling Seattle pediatric clinic, elbow-deep in scheduling forms when my phone buzzed with an unfamiliar number. I almost ignored it. Spam calls were a daily plague, but some instinct made me swipe right. The voice on the other end, crisp and clinical, belonged to a man named Derek from Puget Sound Bank. He spoke of a house on Laurel Street, a mortgage in my name, and a debt I'd never dreamed of. I laughed, thinking it was a scam, until he read my social security number back to me. My knees buckled. I mumbled an excuse, hung up, and stumbled to the break room, where the hum of the coffee machine felt like a scream. My name is Elise Harper. I lived in a cozy, rented studio near Pike Place, with a view of fog-draped ferries and a life I'd carved out carefully. No savings for a down payment, no secret trust fund, just a steady job and a knack for keeping my succulents alive. The house Derek mentioned? It belonged to my older brother, Caleb, and his wife, Nora. They'd moved into a stunning Victorian on Laurel Street 6 months ago. I'd visited once, sipping lavender lemonade on their wraparound porch, admiring their new life. Now, my credit report, pulled on my phone with shaking hands, showed a $700,000 mortgage, 2 maxed-out credit cards, and a personal loan, all in my name. The email tied to the accounts? eliseharper.wa@gmail.com, one letter off from mine. This wasn't a glitch. It was a knife. I didn't confront Caleb that day. Instead, I went home, sat on my thrift store sofa, and stared at the fairy lights strung across my ceiling. My life was small but honest, no flash, just quiet pride in paying my bills and showing up for my patients' families. Caleb, though, was the family star, tech entrepreneur, charming grin, Tesla in the driveway. At our monthly dinners at Mom and Dad's in Tacoma, he'd dominate with tales of startup pitches while I nodded along, content to be the steady one. Mom would fuss over her pot roast, Dad would uncork a Merlot and call it chewy. Nora, with her curated Pinterest aesthetic, always arrived late, tossing compliments like confetti. Elise, your sweater's so cute. Ever think about upgrading that apartment? I'd shrug. Stability was my flex, not square footage. But that night, lying awake, I pieced it together. Caleb had access to my info, years of shared family vacations, my ID left on a hotel dresser, my mail piled at Mom's during a move. Nora's signature, eerily close to mine, was on the loan papers I later saw. They'd forged my income, claiming I earned $210,000 a year when I barely cleared $45,000. The audacity burned. Nora had texted me just days before, asking if I'd bring her favorite macarons to dinner. They were living in my house, and I was footing the bill. The next morning, I marched into Puget Sound Bank, clutching my ID and a folder of evidence. The manager, Ms. Patel, laid out the paperwork, digital signatures, uploaded W-2s, a home equity line drained to zero. "This is fraud," she said, her voice firm. "File a police report. Now." My credit score, once a pristine 740, had tanked to 519. I spent days on the phone with credit bureaus, my rage growing with each hold song. A forensic analyst confirmed the signatures were forged. Clever, but not yours. A friend at a car dealership whispered that Caleb had paid cash for Nora's new BMW after her credit was declined. Their Instagram screamed wealth, Santorini vacations, caviar brunches, but their searches, later pulled from Caleb's laptop, included how to transfer debt anonymously and identity theft statute of limitations. This wasn't a mistake. It was a blueprint. Sunday dinner loomed like a storm. I dressed deliberately, black blazer, pressed jeans, no trace of the little sister they teased. In my bag, a manila envelope held my proof, bank records, fraud alerts, analyst reports. Mom's dining room smelled of rosemary and denial. Caleb and Nora swept in, all smiles, toasting their new chapter. I waited until dessert, key lime pie, Nora's request, before speaking. "I need to share something," I said, placing the envelope on the table. The clink of forks stopped. It's about a house. On Laurel Street. Bought with my identity. Caleb's face froze. Nora laughed, high and brittle. Elise, what? That's absurd. I spread the papers, my name on the deed, their email on the loan app, my social security number. You forged my signature. You tanked my credit. Explain. Nora's voice climbed. It was temporary. We were underwater, his startup crashed, the investors bailed. You don't even want a house. Caleb hissed, not here, Nora. Mom gasped, Elise, their house? How? Dad's voice was a growl, Caleb, is this true? Nora crumpled. We expected so much, the image, the pressure. We thought we'd never get caught. Caleb muttered, I told you it'd blow up. I held their gaze. You searched how to bankrupt me. You didn't plan to fix this. Dad stood. Out. Both of you. They left, Nora's heels clicking, Caleb's head bowed. Mom sank into her chair, whispering, how did we raise her? The fallout was swift. By Tuesday, local headlines screamed, tech couple charged in $1 million fraud. My phone buzzed with pity texts from distant cousins. Mom called, voice frayed. He's still your brother, Elise. The kids, think of Mason and Lila. My heart twisted. Caleb's twins, 6 and 8, were blameless. But Stephanie, my coworker, and Rock, showed up with mochas and truth, they're guilting you. Don't fold. She was right. A stranger wouldn't get a pass, neither should Caleb. A year later, I signed my own mortgage, for a fixer-upper in Renton, with creaky floors and a wildflower yard. Caleb and Nora pleaded guilty, 15 months for him, 20 for her. I skipped the sentencing, too busy rebuilding my credit, my trust, my life. Stephanie gifted me a doormat, identity thieves not welcome. Mom brought pot roast, Dad gave me a cactus and a gruff, you did what you had to. A letter arrived from Lila, in glittery purple ink, Dear Aunt Elise, I'm sorry Daddy hurt you. Can I see your new house? I drew you a daisy. I pinned it to my fridge. Caleb and Nora stole my name to chase a dream they couldn't afford. But I built my own, imperfect, hard one, mine. Their betrayal didn't break me, it rooted me deeper. This house, this life, this truth? It's unshakable.